Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs and part 2 of this gingerbread character series. Today I have for you this very cute gingerbread boy that I created from the unfinished wood cutout from the Christmas crafting department at Hobby Lobby. Watch as I transform this plain wood gingerbread into a very cute one using Christmas socks, paint, glitter, ribbon, buttons, and faux Christmas greenery. And the great news is you can do this as well. It is very easy to do and it's so much fun to create. Stick with me and I will show you how. Welcome to all to my channel today. If you are not currently a subscriber, I hope you will consider becoming one. As well, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Share this tutorial with others and leave me your questions and comments. I love receiving them. Okay, let's get creating. Here we have both of my gingerbreads together. The one I recently did and posted a tutorial on, the girl gingerbread. And today I'm sharing with you the boy gingerbread. And again, this is from the wood crafting cutout from Hobby Lobby. Such a great deal, only $2 after the 50% off. And you can create such great decor with this. You could use these gingerbreads as wreath inserts or on a swag, as a wall decor or door decor. But I'm creating mine as standing decor. All right, this is the piece prior to my changing it up. Okay, so it has some wood circles for cheeks. I took those off. And that, whatever that is at the top of the hat, I guess is supposed to be a swatch of hair. I took that off as well with a heat gun. Now, on my girl gingerbread, I did take off those scrolling lines for the arms and the legs. But on this one, I didn't. I ended up keeping them, and it turned out really, really cute. So I thought I would show you how you could do it by keeping them instead of taking those off with the heat gun. Now, if you did the girl gingerbread, and I hope if you did, you saved those little squiggle pieces on the arms and the legs, I hope you saved those because I actually used mine on the head of my boy gingerbread to create that characteristic squiggle lines around the head. Even though I had a hat, I did that. So I'll show you how I did that. Okay, I have two socks. One sock I'm going to use for the hat. The other one I'm going to use for the scarf. Now I have a little bit of I actually have a lot of that white yarn, really pretty soft white yarn. I'm going to use that for the fringe on the scarf. And I ended up putting that one on the scarf, just trying it out for size, just showing you that you could take a regular size sock. I would say that's probably a woman's size sock, and turn it into a stocking hat. I have here two buttons. I want to say they're around an inch and a quarter. Now, you can use any color buttons that you like. I had the black ones on hand, so I use those. This is one of those bamboo cutting boards from the Dollar Tree. Now, I'm assuming it's $1.50 now, but it works really, really great as a platform if you want to do this piece as a standing gingerbread. I have there 4 red beads that I'm going to put on the bottom of that cutting board to create like a platform. I showed you a pom-pom there, but I ended up creating my own pom-pom with that white yarn that I just showed you. Now I'm going to be using my familiar eyes, and you've seen these many times. But I'm just showing you the diagram of those or the drawing of those, and we'll go over that later. So I used my heat gun to pry off that piece of hair, I guess it was. And now I'm using my zip sander to smooth that area out. Now you're definitely going to have to do this because as careful as you might be to get this off, which by the way, it was pretty easy to get that off, you're going to have to use the zip sander. Now I went ahead and I painted my gingerbread. Now I'm going to say this. I showed you all of this in part 1 with the girl gingerbread. You're going to need to refer to that video. If you want a methodical, slow tutorial on how I paint gingerbread faces, I also recently posted a video. I titled it Whimsical Face Painting Tutorial for Gingerbread Christmas Decor. But otherwise, you can see me do all of the preliminary prep for this gingerbread by simply looking at part 1 where I did the girl gingerbread. Okay, so you can see there I put on the eyes, I painted the entire gingerbread, and I did not pry off those squiggle line pieces. I left them on and I painted them right on the gingerbread. Now, if you would like to do this piece and use those squiggle lines, you could try and pry those off. I would not recommend trying to pry off the scarf, however. Reason being, you could see that it has those little fringe pieces at the bottom of the scarf. I am not sure if you could successfully get that off. With a heat gun, it's up to you if you want to try. If you want to try to do that, you could use the scarf, that piece as a pattern. I didn't find it necessary to do that. And when you see how I did mine, you'll see why it wasn't necessary. So you can see what I'm doing now here is the cheeks. Again, this is all on both of the videos, part 1 and the whimsical face painting tutorial. I'm using a 1 inch, a 1 inch, a half an inch, half wood round on the face for the nose. Now, I painted my face just a little bit different. The eyes are exactly the same, the cheeks are exactly the same, and I add freckles exactly the same. I used the same nose on my girl gingerbread. The only thing that was a little bit different was I made my eyes a little bit smaller for the boy, and I created kind of a turned up mouth. It's pretty much like the original one that I did on the girl. I just did kind of a side grin, if you will, and that's pretty easy to just change that up. Okay, so I have my freckles on, my cheeks, my eyes, and my nose. I'm going to go ahead and start preparing my platform while my gingerbread paint is drying. Now I'm using a piece of scrapbook paper to cover the top of mine. I like the look of that. Now you could use any kind of scrapbook paper that you like. I just chose this kind of a candy stripe print. I wanted something red and green. And so I chose that paper and I traced around my bamboo cutting board as you saw there. And I'm going to use Mod Podge to adhere that. But before I do that, I'm going to paint the sides. Now, I don't paint the bottom. I just don't see the need to do that. But I did paint the sides, and I just used Snow White Waverly chalk paint for a nice, good, thick cover, so I wouldn't have to do it more than once. Now I'm going to turn my bamboo cutting board over, and I'm going to take some Aleene's Tacky Glue, and I'm going to glue on 4 red wood beads on the corners. And this is going to serve as little feet for my platform. Now, whenever possible, I try and, while I'm waiting for one thing to dry, I go on to another task involving that piece. So that's what you saw me doing there. May as well let those dry while I'm preparing the scarf. Now, as you can see here, I am chopping off the foot part of the sock. Now, I have these little, they're kind of fluffy socks. You can get Christmas socks anywhere. You could get them at Hobby Lobby right now. You can order them on Amazon. I'm not sure if stores like Walmart have them in yet, but you could try that. So I'm cutting my foot of my sock in half. And I'm simply going to be covering that wood part of that scarf with this sock. Now, the stripes on my scarf are going to be horizontal. So I'm preparing both pieces for the bottom part of the scarf and for the top. I'm just cutting in general what size piece I'm going to need. Now, these socks are very fluffy, so they do, come off. A lot of that little fluffy residue is coming off of them. But no problem. That's easily just wiped into the trash. No problem. So they're a little messy is what I'm trying to say. But you could get socks that aren't messy at all. Just choose whatever kind of sock you like that you think will make a cute scarf. Now, what I'm going to be doing is hot gluing this sock fabric onto this scarf that was provided on this wood piece. Now, what's good about doing it this way is the socks, no matter what type of sock you get, it's going to stretch a little bit. So you're going to be able to conform that sock right to that wood piece. Now, I did paint, you may have noticed, the little areas of that wood scarf that look like fringe. I painted that white, and I did so because I'm going to be putting some yarn on there. But I thought just in case you could see it through the yarn, I decided to go ahead. You see that? And I painted it white. That little area there, right below the bottom of the scarf. Now, my little squiggle lines, I did have to do that carefully because I wanted to do the little sides of the squiggles as well as the top, and I did 2 coats. Now, I generally have the shape of my scarf, and now I'm doing in very small increments with my hot glue gun. I am adhering that piece of sock to that wood scarf. Now, this is very easy to do because I went around the edges of that scarf with my hot glue. Any of the area beyond that, it's very easy to lift it up and just trim it off. You're going to need some sharp scissors to accomplish this. So you see, I'm just going around the edges and I'm cutting off the excess. This was really, really super easy to do. Okay, so I've got the main part of my scarf on. Now, if you're doing a stripe, you can do it as a vertical stripe on the scarf, or you can do it as a horizontal stripe. It's all up to you. Now, I'm getting ready to put on the bottom of my scarf. Now, tell me if you notice something I did wrong here. Yes, I do make mistakes, but you know what? I fixed it later. So that scarf, if you took it off of the gingerbread, and it was actually a scarf, and it had a horizontal stripe, that bottom of the scarf should have also been with horizontal lines. But what did I do? I made it vertical. And actually, you may not have even noticed it or even thought about it, but to me, me being me, it bothered me. So I ended up changing it later. Before I do all that, I'm going to take some little pieces of that yarn that I showed you. It's a very soft, very pretty yarn. And I'm going to cut little pieces, 2 pieces per little piece of that wood fringe. So for each little piece of wood fringe that you see coming down, I put 2 pieces of yarn on there. So I just did that with hot glue, And then I went around and trimmed everything up evenly on the top. And then I will place my scarf right over the top of that fringe. But this was a nice, cute added touch to this piece. Much better than that wood, the look of that wood that came on the piece. I'm always looking to kind of upgrade or make something look just a little bit better, a little bit higher end. And I think this really was an improvement on the piece. Later on, you're going to see when we do the hat that I made a pom-pom for the stocking hat for the gingerbread out of that same yarn. So it created a coordinating look on that gingerbread. So I'm continuing on here with my hot glue. 2 pieces of yarn per little wood piece hanging down, those little wood points there. And then I'm going to, like I said, cover that up. I'm going to cut a piece of that sock in vertically, which maybe if I shouldn't even have mentioned it, but yeah, it's going to bother me even as I watch this and do this voiceover. But I ended up, after I was all finished with the piece, I kept looking at it, and I said, that's really going to bother me. So I ended up taking another piece of sock, covering up that area that you see open right there. I just took another piece of sock and put it right over the top of the other one, but in a horizontal pattern. So I was happy then. But no matter, it really isn't relevant, unless you use a vertical or a horizontal stripe, whatever your sock has, if you use a sock. Now, otherwise, you could use an old lightweight sweater. Any kind of sweater material will work just fine for this. You can also try going by a thrift store. Even in the children's department, you could do it in the baby department, actually. All you need is a piece of sweater material. So sometimes you can pick up something like that so cheap at a thrift store and use it in your crafting. So just, a word of advice regarding that. If you want to keep the cost of your crafting down, always think about just purchasing something that was a clothing item just for the fabric of it, and that works just fine for this piece. All right, so I'm gluing everything on little by little. Now notice how I just do it in small increments. I want to be sure that I'm getting everything on right. Well, yeah, I got it on right. I got it on very well, but it was vertical. So, okay, so now I am going to cover up the top of that fringe and make that look finished there. Using my hot glue. And then I'm going to go around on the other side and trim that up. And this is coming along very nicely. Now, honestly, these gingerbreads were, I would say the girl gingerbread, a little more complicated because of the dress and the gathering and, little bit more detail in that one. This one was really, really easy. So if you're thinking about making a pair, or you're thinking about maybe even just doing one, if you just want to do the boy, just go refer to the girl gingerbread tutorial or the whimsical face painting tutorial, just to get an idea how to paint the face. And that should help you a lot. Okay, now we're doing the other side. I'm just going to go all the way up the side there, and then I'm going to trim it, and that's going to be it for the scarf. And you can see this is really an easy piece to make. Once you got the face painting down, which I think is pretty simple, I would watch the tutorial. After you do, just take a piece of paper, practice a little bit, draw the eyes, draw the mouth, practice a little before you actually go to paint on your wood. Okay, doing a little bit of trimming here. So you can see we're moving along here on this piece very, very quickly. I'm going to be doing the hat next, which is really easy as well. That's all I'm going to do to the scarf. No other additions to that, other than, of course, as I said, changing the stripe. But if you do that right in the first place, unlike me, yeah, you'll be fine. It looks really nice vertical, but technically, that's a horizontal stripe on that scarf. So, yeah. Cleaning up all of my little fuzz balls that I formed by cutting and snipping and trimming and all that. Okay, now, I'm going to be using one sock. This one's a little bit different stripe. As you know, I like to change it up. But a sock fits very well on the head of that gingerbread. Now, characteristically, whenever I do gingerbreads, I always do that scrolling line or that squiggle line going up around the head. Well, you don't have to do that. But I wanted to continue the squiggle lines that are on the arms and the legs, just for that continuous pattern. And those squiggle pieces, those were from the girl gingerbread that I took off with the heat gun. And I mentioned that when I was doing the girl, keep your pieces. So if you did, and you did the girl, you can now use them on the head of the boy to create those lines or those squiggle lines that are characteristic for the gingerbread. All I have to do is tuck them up in there, and now it appears that the gingerbread still has those characteristic squiggle lines on the head, just by using those leftover pieces. Now, if you decide to do this gingerbread and you don't want those squiggles on the arms and the legs, I'm sure you can get those off with the heat gun. And therefore, you could just paint them on, and then you could paint the squiggle lines on the head. So you have that option to determine what it is you would like to do with your piece. Okay, so I'm going to use some Mod Podge, and I'm just going to put a nice coating of Mod Podge all the way out to the edges, and I'm going to place my scrapbook paper on there. I'm just using a sponge applicator. Super easy to do. This is a kind of a heavyweight scrapbook paper, so it's going to go on that Mod Podge without any issues, such as bubbling. And now I've just covered my platform where my boy gingerbread is going to be standing. Now I'm going to be using both of my gingerbreads to stand up at the base of a gingerbread themed pencil tree. So this is going to be really cute standing by the tree. Now I have 8 Jenga blocks. I glued 2 of them together, so I have 4 sets. Now I'm going to cover my Jenga blocks with that scrapbook paper that I put on the top of my bamboo cutting board to use as a platform. So I cut my paper at 1.5 inches, and now what I'm going to do is roll up my Jenga blocks with that scrapbook paper on 3 sides. And this is going to help hold and secure my gingerbread while it's standing on that platform. I'm just going to use some Mod Podge. I'm going to paint the ends, by the way, just because I don't want them to be showing the wood. You only have to do 3 sides because one of the sides of that Jenga blocks piece with the 2 glued together is going to be glued down to the platform. Oh, I think I used tacky glue. I'm sorry. I thought I used Mod Podge. Tacky glue. And then I'm just going to cover all 3 sides with that and wrap that Jenga blocks piece. And I'm going to do 4 of those. Now they're going to be partially covered up once I put the piece together, but I wanted I had to have something at the base of the gingerbread to be sure it stayed secure and standing, so I thought I would just decorate those Jenga blocks with that scrapbook paper, and that would, give it a more finished look. So for my sock, I just folded over about an inch and a half. That's going to be kind of like the brim of the stocking hat folded. And then I'm going to put it right over the top of the head of my gingerbread. And I want to say it's slightly tilted a little bit on the head. You create whatever look you like. If you want it straight on the head, you do that. That's all up to you. Now I'm going to start gluing that so it will stay on there. Now I don't want it to cover up my eyes, so I'm going to be careful to glue it down so that I'm still showing those very cute gingerbread eyes. And I'm going to proceed to go ahead and glue that down all the way around. I don't want that hat to be popping off, so now I'm going to go on the back side. Now I do paint the back of my gingerbread. I don't really do much else with it. If you want to paint squiggle lines on the back, you could do that. Okay, now I'm going to I should have mentioned that you want the heel of your sock to be on the left side as you're looking at it there. Just poke it in. You're going to be poking that heel inside of that sock. In just a minute, I'll explain that a little bit better. So I cut off the toe of the sock. All right, now see on the left side how I have that little heel bulging out? Just poke it in. And then when you bend over your stocking hat, you will never see the heel of your sock. So you'll have to take a minute to kind of, shape your hat in whatever fashion that you like. I like mine kind of bending over, if you will, toward the side. And I'm going to create a fluffy little pom-pom to put on the end. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going up to the toe of my sock. I did cut off the toe of my sock, but right up there where the toe of the sock was, I take a piece of 26 gauge wire. And about 1/4 of an inch or so at the end, I'm going to take that wire and start wrapping it and so tightly so that it gathers up super, super tight. And then I'm going to trim that up on the end, all that fluffy excess fabric there. And that's where I'm going to glue the pom-pom that I'm going to be making for my stocking hat. Now, you might have another idea for your hat to make it, maybe if you have some sweater fabric, you could create kind of a triangular hat yourself out of sweater material. And then you could either have it standing up or you could have it also bending over. That's the great thing about working with the sweater material is that you can just manipulate it and do what you want with it. And it's also great with socks. So I put a little bit of hot glue around that wire there to secure it, but honestly, I pulled it so tight, it's not going anywhere. So now I'm going to take my sharp scissors, trim all of that up, getting rid of all that excess fluff and sock fabric there. And I'm going to create a nice little blunt end so I can glue the pom-pom that I'm going to be making for the tip. Now, you could use a pom-pom like that. You could use a nice big fluffy pom-pom that you pick up in a bag at the craft store. That's fine as well. I just wanted to do mine with a handmade pom-pom. I just wanted it to match the scarf. All right, on to that pom-pom. I cut a piece of cardboard 1.5 inches thick, and then, probably maybe 3-4 inches long. I just need to wrap yarn around it. Not super tight. I'm going to wrap around about 30 times. Round and round and round that piece of cardboard. Now this is how you can easily make pom-poms if you want to do that. So after I do that, I keep it all collected and sitting there on my cardboard. Now I'm going to take another piece of yarn. I'm going to poke it underneath there. And I'm going to pull it through, and then I'm going to tie it in a super tight knot. Pulling it very, very tightly and gathering up that yarn bundle. I put a double knot. Then I'm going to slide that little bundle of yarn off of that cardboard. Sorry, my hand's out of frame there a little bit. So just slide it out of there, as you can see I'm doing right there. And then on the opposite end, from where I tied it, I'm just going to cut through the yarn. And then I'm going to start trimming. Now, right now, doesn't look that great, but it will here in just a bit. I'm going to start trimming. This is when your pom-pom starts actually looking like a pom-pom. Now, I want it to be of a nice size attached to that hat. So I'm going to start trimming it down to about the length that I want the yarn pieces to be in that pom-pom. Now you're going to see me as well. After I get it basically as short as I want it, then you're going to see me kind of fluff it a little bit, and it's going to get, start to almost fray a little bit on the ends, and then it's going to look really soft and pretty. And I'll show you here what I'm talking about after I do a little bit more trimming here. Okay, so what I do then is notice what I'm doing with my fingers. You're gonna see me do that over and over. And this helps to kind of fluff it up, fray out the ends just a little bit, make it look a little bit more of a fluffy pom-pom for your hat. Any of the measurements for anything that I use on this piece, you'll find it in the description box. Okay, now this is what I'm talking about. See what I do with my fingertips? And the more I do that, the fluffier it gets, and the more it starts looking like a really cute pom-pom. And now this is really nice because it's going to match the scarf where I put the yarn pieces for the fringe on the scarf. See how cute it's becoming? Lots of trimming, but it's worth the effort. Only took minutes to do that. Okay, now I'm going to start manipulating my sock. Now, again, there's the heel. I'm pointing to it. Poke it into the hat. You'll never know it's there. Fold it over. I like mine folded over with the pom-pom just coming, right on the side of the head there. Now, the good thing is hot glue, you can manipulate that hat and make it stay exactly where you want it throughout the hat. If you need to shape it the way you want it. Put dabs of glue to hold the shape, however you like it. I want to be sure that my hat stays folded over, and then I'm going to hot glue my pom-pom right there where my hand is, right there. Now see how cute that is? Yep. You can also go around on the back side and just get your sock to behave whatever way you want it to. Or if you're creating your hat out of sweater material, you know, you do you, however you like to make a hat. I'm just here for inspiration and for ideas. And being that this boy Gingerbread came with that scarf piece, that to me said he needed a stocking hat with a pom-pom. Yes, that's what I thought. And here it comes. It's going on with the hot glue. Look how cute that is. Now, I thought that my hat needed a little something more. So I decided to put a little bit of faux Christmas greenery, three little sprigs of that. It's a snowy greenery, so it goes with the theme. And then I put 3 little holly berries up on the upper right side of the hat. Looks like I'm getting ready to do that now. So you could use any type of faux greenery that you like. You could also use holly berries if you have any little, like the holly berry stickers that you could just glue on there. Yeah, holly would look really, really cute on there. You could do a small pine cone sitting in the center of that faux greenery. You could use whatever you like on there. You could put a jingle bell, whatever you like. Just giving you ideas here. And I'm just tucking my greenery right down inside of that little pocket that I folded over for the top of the hat. And now I'm adding my Christmas greenery. Now I have 3 little holly berries that I'm going to pop right in there. It's going to add a little bit more color to the piece. And that's going to be it for the hat. I'm going to do some other little finishing touches on this. Okay, so I have my black buttons. You can use any color buttons that you like. I want to say those are about an inch and a quarter. I'm using black buttons because that's what I have on hand. I really like the black buttons on there, but maybe you would like another color. Use whatever you like. White or red would also be great. I can tell you the reason why I didn't use red, because, just like pinks, reds are often tricky. And I didn't want, a multitude of different shades of red on that piece. So I went with the black. I would have put white on had I had them. But I'm fine with the black. I like the way it looks. But again, you do you. Just glue the buttons on with tacky glue. And that is a super cute touch on that gingerbread. Now I'm taking a dry brush with white acrylic paint. I just dip my brush in my paint, rub it off almost absolutely nothing on the brush on a paper towel, and then I just swoosh it over the top of the nose. Now I'm going to do something super cute with the nose here in just a bit. It was a little afterthought that I had, and I'm glad I did it. It looks so cute. Now I'm trying my gingerbread on my platform now. I'm deciding where do I need to put my Jenga blocks so that I can have them help support my gingerbread. So I'm putting Alien's Tacky Glue on there. It's going to be slightly in back of the center line. If you were to divide that platform in half, it's going to be a little bit behind that, just so that the gingerbread sits right in the center. So I wanted to go ahead and do that and let that dry while I finish the rest of my gingerbread and what I'm going to do with it. Okay, so I have put my gingerbread on, and I must have not filmed that, but honestly, couldn't be simpler. It's also, you saw me do it in the girl gingerbread tutorial. I just put some glue on the back of the foot of each of the gingerbreads and also along the bottom of the foot, and I placed it on the platform, pushed it up against the Jenga block, and that's going to support it. Then I took my other two Jenga blocks and I put them in front of the foot. So basically I just created support structure for my gingerbread. This works great. The tacky glue holds fantastically, and that's all you had to do was put some glue on there and sandwich the feet in between the Jenga blocks. Essentially, that's what I did. Now I'm creating a bow. Goodness, I do a bow for everything. You should be hopefully learning how I do this by now. If you need a bow tutorial, I have a multitude of them. Look on my playlist. I'm also going to be doing a bow tutorial coming up here very shortly, probably next week, to show you how I do a bow tree topper and bows for your Christmas tree branches. You could create this with an easy bow maker as well, or a bow dabber, however you like to make bows. I like to create my bows in my hand, and if you'd like to learn how I do that, either watch for the upcoming video or check out some of my bow tutorials. I have quite a few actually. So I did a 4-loop bow and I created one center loop going right down the middle there, obviously in the center. I'm using a little, a cute red ribbon here, wired ribbon, 1.5 inch. I believe that was from Joann's. I got that on clearance, but it's simple enough to find any kind of gingerbread print ribbon or candy cane print ribbon. I would use a 1.5 inch. And I just created that to put at the base of my gingerbread. Okay, here comes a cute touch. I'm going to take a paintbrush and some Mod Podge, and I'm going to put some ultra fine white glitter on each of my squiggle lines on the hands or the arms and the legs. I'm going to do the same thing for the area on the head where I have the squiggle lines. Now this is an ultra fine glitter. I get my glitter at Hobby Lobby, of course. And I'm just going to sprinkle that on, and that's going to add a very nice touch to this gingerbread. After I did the arms and the legs and the head, I put a little bit of Mod Podge on the top of the nose, and I put some glitter on there, and oh my goodness, it's so cute. The gingerbread looks like it has a little bit of snow on its nose. Super cute. I believe I showed you that, but I'm going on here because I decided to go ahead and glue down my faux Christmas greenery. Now you can't really see that well here, but this greenery has a sparkle to it. The same kind of sparkle that I just put on the white areas on those squiggle lines with that ultra fine glitter. So this really coordinates well. I'm going to take a few pieces of this faux greenery, and I'm okay to let it kind of trail off the side of my platform. I'm going to be putting my bow right in the center of that greenery. And I'm going to take a couple of little sprigs of that greenery as well and just set it on that Jenga block on the left side, just to kind of camouflage that. And then I'm going to put some holly berries that look like they have snow on them on that left side as well. Okay, so I have my cute little bow. Now for the length, I'm sorry, I didn't mention the length of the loops on that bow are only about 8 inches. That's a small bow for me anyway. Usually I make the big ones. But I'm going to put a blob of hot glue on the back of that bow, and I'm going to press it right down into that greenery. And I want to be careful not to cover up the squiggle lines on the leg of that gingerbread. I'm adjusting my loops here to make it sit just the way I want it. I left a few inches, maybe 3 to 4 inch tail on there, and maybe it was 3 inches. And then I'm just going to cut an angle and let that kind of trail off the front corner of that piece. Now, all these little details. This one isn't quite as crazy with details as maybe the girl gingerbread was, but I think it's super cute, and I think it's very, very easy to do, very doable, even for the novice crafter, if you just follow the steps. So I cut a little piece of greenery. I want to just kind of camouflage or cover up that little Jenga block there. And then I have some holly berries that I had gotten from Dollar Tree last year, and I really like them. I've used them many times. I'm putting a little extra piece of faux greenery poking out from the bow there. Just some little finishing touches here. Now these platforms are so cute, so perfect, and made simply from that bamboo cutting board from the Dollar Tree. Okay, as I mentioned, I decided, I have to put a little bit of a sparkle on the nose, which I'm trying to make him look like he was out in the snow and just came in, and he has a little bit of shimmery glitter going across his nose, which simulates snow. Oh, that turned out super, super cute. So I worked a little more on that after you saw me, what I did there. Okay, so now I'm taking those little holly berries that look like they have snow on them, and I'm just going to put a cluster of 3 in that faux greenery. And that's going to be it for this piece. Yeah, this turned out super cute. And I hope you feel inspired to go to Hobby Lobby to pick up these gingerbreads. Oh my goodness, they were only $4, $3.99, 50% off. I think in my last tutorial I said 40. That was my error. I noticed that I did that. They're 50% off. That means they're $2 for those great, sturdy, fantastic gingerbread wood cutouts that you can just use your imagination to create something fabulous. If you are a beginner crafter, use this as your opportunity to learn a number of skills and to use your creativity. Okay, here we have the boy. Now I did, like I said, I changed that vertical stripe on the bottom of this scarf to a horizontal. Yeah, I didn't show you the picture of that, but I did it. I sure did. Okay, so here's the boy, and he's all finished. And this shows you how you can do this gingerbread with those wood pieces for squiggle lines. If you don't want them, again, just paint them. Okay? Until next time, you all take care.